Welcome back to this latest episode of Japan's Top Business Interviews. I'm your host, Dr. Greg Story, the president of Tokyo Dalkani Training in Japan here, and my special guest today is Jose Gozalbo, who is the president of Maetel Constructions here in Japan. So, Jose, welcome. And how is it that you are running this construction company in Japan? How did that happen? Give us your background.
Okay, thank you, Greg, to bring me here to this interview and for this question. Well, my background is I have a bachelor in business from University of Valencia many years ago, and then I used to work in Spain in several sectors: industrial, in financing, industrial, and in an investment bank. And then I realized that renewable energies had a lot of potential, especially solar. For me, it was really interesting to investigate more, to study more about that. And since 2004, I was started in solar companies, in several of them, small EPC, in small engineering, and after very soon growth for country manager for Spain and Portugal in a solar manufacturer, a solar module manufacturer. It was German and the Netherlands. So it was a lot of international approach, atmosphere, and how to develop. It was running very, very well, but it did because success. It was a feed-in tariff scheme that in Spain was, the crisis of 2008, later 2010, and then in 2011 happened what here in Japan is very well remember. It was the great earthquake. And then Japan had to change the approach to energies and made the most interesting plan for feed-in tariff for solar, for renewables in general and solar in particular. And then many people came, and among them I came here in 2013, early 2013, and coming back to Spain, going forth in 2015, finally I got married here, and then as well, yes, and I created a family, but always working in solar business.
So when you came here in 2013, was that with Maetel? Did you come with a company, or just came individually? Or?
Yes, I came individually.
Oh, okay.
I came individually, but it was many other companies that it used to be a client of mine, or they wanted to start.
So you were working like a consultant at that time?
At that time, yes, in the very beginning.
Right.
Later on, I started to work in a Japanese company, and after that, a Chinese company. But these were international companies as well. And finally, since 3 years ago, almost in October, it will be 3 years, I started in Maetel as country manager.
So when you worked for the Japanese company or the Chinese company, you were not the boss, you were not the head.
No.
You were one of the team.
Yes, I was part of the management.
Okay. And did you have people reporting to you when you were in that Japanese company and the Chinese company?
Yes, as well. Much less people, but...
Yes, but you had some.
Yes.
So this is your first experience to lead people in Japan, I guess.
As a big team, yes.
Right. So what was that like? I mean, you've got a very strong background academically, work experience-wise in Europe. Mm-hmm. Okay, and you're working for your national organizations there, and then you come here and you're a consultant, but then you're picked up by these companies, you're working inside their system. Mm-hmm. But what was challenging for you about leading Japanese people, Japanese team?
Indeed. The most challenging matter, it is cultural. For the perspective of the companies, my opinion is that in Europe or in Japan, the companies look for something similar, which is make profits in a very or the wiser way to do it, right? The point is how you approach this in the cultural aspects. There's for an European person, we have the challenges of languages, also the cultural, how to approach, especially human resources, is really different.
And what was different?
Well, different for instance, here people is used for long period contracts, there's no unemployment. I came from Southern Europe, there's a lot of unemployment. Here there's not at all in construction or in technical matters. The unemployment is one of the main differences. And then
so what does that mean for you as a leader, though? What does that mean? I mean, from one side you can say good, because you've got people working and they're stable, maybe, or from another way, hard to get people or hard to keep people, or where's the difficulty?
Have to get people.
Hard to get people.
Hard to get people, and if you get, you are lucky. Retain the good talent. This is difficult. It is possible, but it's difficult.
And that team you had in the Japanese company and the Chinese company, they were existing team members. You came in and they became part of your team, and you're leading them. So, in that sort of initial experience of trying to lead a group of Japanese staff, what things happened that you didn't expect, or what things that you expected didn't happen? What was the sort of things a little bit different? What's a little bit of flavour is a bit different in Japan as a leader?
Well, for instance, regarding human resources, there's a lot of presence importance here, rather than productivity in some cases. Not in all, but in some cases.
When you say presence rather than productivity,
it's persons that they are in the company, but if there's no work, they stay really stable.
Right.
So this is something that in another countries is hard to say. Hard to see. I mean, the approach is different. But what I want to mean as well, there's many good things for the what I see is the employees and especially the management are really committed. It's people that really believes in the company. If you explain, well, in a reasonable level, that's not a problem. People is loyal, and also have very good things like being on time or motainai. It's very important for the
don't waste things.
They waste things for a construction company, for industrial matters. This just-in-time mentality that's really accurate and positive for the industry.
And you work for a Japanese company, then you work for a Chinese company. Was that different? I mean, in terms of the Japanese working in a Chinese company with a Spanish boss, I mean, that's a very interesting combination. Was there a different type of leadership challenge in that situation? Because I imagine the Chinese mentality is quite different to the Japanese mentality as well as work goes.
It is.
And you're sort of in the middle.
Yes, but it is also, I mean, each company is different.
Yep.
Each company and each leader, each president, we are different each other, and that makes sense. It was really, I mean, there's many things that we can discuss and go deeper the details, because in fact it was very similar from the point of view of the activity. However, the approach it was different.
In leading people terms, what was different?
Well, you have to construct confidence, and the confidence is not question of one day or one activity. It's a question of consistency every single day. It's you have to create consistency in what you are telling, the message that you address to them, and the facts that you're doing, how you implement this. The difference is, of course, what I can see is the Japanese, they expect a little bit more in the long term. It's more conservative, which is good for, in one hand. Chinese were more, and allow me to say this, in the market, it was where in this company was more aggressive to the market, going to the market with, okay, we are here, we want to do this, we want to do that. So of course, both companies, they were analyzing that how they did, or how to make the return to the shareholder. However, the point of view from the Japanese was more relaxed. Okay, let's study. There's not only the short-term profit. We have many relationships, and what I realize is if the Japanese companies detect something that it was a little bit dangerous or unknown, they stopped and said no, and we are not interested. Perhaps they had more possibilities because they were local, and then they can listen much better small things or informal matters. But the approach of the Japanese companies was always conservative.
Why is that?
Well, probably culturally, they don't want to make mistakes. Which I think is also good. Sometimes we have to fail. Sometimes failing is the best school. But let's be honest, it's not nice to fail always. This is then. In my experience, fail is the same for.
And when Maetel is a Spanish company.
Used to, okay, yes, this is a good question because the shareholders right now, they are Spanish, but since 2000, end of 2021, became French company.
French company. Okay,
yes.
So you join this, well, Spanish now French, or French now Spanish, whichever it goes, company, and so they make you country head. And did they have an existing operation in Japan, or did you have to create the operation in Japan?
Our business is two. It's EPC, engineering, procurement, construction, and of very big solar plants. When I mean very big, it's like 1 or 2 golf courses together, so many hectares. And the other part of the business is operation and maintenance. Okay. So it's a long-term contract. And, there's just a few clients that can be.
So, but were they established in Japan when you joined?
Yes, it was already established.
A team is there.
It was already
operations already running, and you come in, you take it.
Yes.
So when you're in that situation, you come in, and the Japanese team has been there working away, or I don't know, the team, including Japanese, I guess, are working there. Did they have a lot of expats in that team, or all Japanese, or how was it constructed?
Well, it was like 60% of the people that was working was Japanese, and around 40, and now it's less, like 1/3 is international.
Okay, so it's quite a mixed group. Okay, so in terms of you come in and you have to take this over. How did you approach that? Did you have like a 30-day plan, 60-day plan, 90-day plan, 120-day plan? Did you have a strategy? Did you have something in your mind of how you were going to move in and take over? Okay,
what we did, it was approaching as the feed-in tariff the market, because say that our market is very regulated. It's depending a lot of from the regulation, the normative, and the feed-in tariff plan. This feed-in tariff plan finished, in 2020, was precisely when I came. So then I had to manage the landing, make the landing the software the best, because at the end of the day it was very nice days with this feed-in tariff, a lot of projects, construction, but since then no construction, only finishing what we had, and then make the operation and maintenance, which is really stable on time. This I already did in Spain because it happened very similar. So, and I had the same problems, like make smaller the team, say goodbye to good employees that has been loyal to the companies, but nowadays there's much less projects. So then how to manage this, I say, is not nice, but also needs special skills. So the skills and how to approach is making plans every single year, watching the regulation, how it is, watching the market, how it's reacting, and trying to adapt the better you can.
So when you say the team was made smaller, is that like 10%, 15, 20%, 30% smaller?
So
50% smaller?
Since I came in, okay, the office has been reducted, like, so 60%.
60%? Wow, that's a lot.
However, the team that is in the plants, because we have plants over Japan, this has been increased.
Ah, okay.
Because first, or initially, we used to subcontract a lot.
Okay.
And now, as we have more experience and we have the necessity to do it, we're hiring our own team and then creating our own staff, very specialized, to give comfort to the client that we are going to.
So how big was the expansion in the plants? You had 60% down in the office, but how much?
But both 30 to 40% more people
up. So 60% down in the office, 30-40% up in the plants, right? So that's quite interesting. You know, you come in, and unfortunately 60% of people in the office, thank you very much. It's unfortunate you've got to go. In the plants, we're hiring new people, replacing the subcontractor. That's quite a difficult job for the new boss, isn't it? Turn up and suddenly there's only 40% of people left, because in this market too, there are more positions than people applying for positions. You know? So I guess those people who had to go and were good people, I'm guessing they probably found jobs pretty easily.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, right.
Yes, and I'm also glad for them as well that they can.
And the danger there, though, is that the survivors, the 40% in the office who are left over, are wondering, is there going to be another round of cuts? You know, is there going to be a second cut or a third cut? And maybe I should leave now, rather than wait. So how do you keep the survivors with you and not see them head for the door as well?
This is a very good question, Greg, because it's hard to keep the good team working positively, and also with the mentality that they have to, or they can have the possibility to work a long time in the company. We are a global company. We are we belong to, I think it's the second biggest construction company in the world. It's Vancy, which has alliances in airports and so on. So that gives comfort to the employee, because it knows that we have a strong commitment to keeping Japan. We have long contracts. Of course, we have to fulfill properly, because the client always can say, hey, this is not doing well, so can cut. However, we are challenging all the employees to work hard and to give the best from themselves. We try to do as well in return. It's important to give innovation to them and to well, to explain and understand, and also related to the your question regarding the leadership in construction, more than in other sectors, is really important to focus on health and safety, because might happen anything, and then we are taking really seriously, and I think employees also appreciates that.
I guess, also the colleagues in the office, 60% go, which is a large number of people, right? But they also, the ones who are left behind, see that the company's adding staff in the plant. So I guess they can work out that there's a commitment here to build a business, replace the subcontractors with their own people. Office staff comes down, but plant staff go up. So I guess the people who are left over from the office are thinking, oh, okay, maybe this company is okay, it's going to continue. They're expanding, in this part of the business, not in the office part of the business. I guess there's some hope for them not to leave, I guess, in that sense, yeah.
We are reducing the structure up to a minimum critical mass that in the moment that the projects come back, then we can grow
Expand again.
Yes.
Get profitable again and go again.
Yes.
And so, how long have you been now in Maetel? How long in Japan?
In October it will be 3 years.
3 years, right? So you have all this drama at the beginning. Hi, my name's Jose, and 60% of you can go home. Yeah. That's a pretty tough way to introduce yourself to the company.
Yeah, but it was gradually.
Was it?
It was that. It was also the commitment of the company. Not hey, I arrive, you and you, bye-bye. No, this is not the idea. It's not the policy, and it was gradually. We explained to the employees. Some of them they left. Some others, we have to say that not renew. But I mean, they understood. This is also a good thing from the Japanese. Or at least I don't see all the emotions. In another countries might be a bit harder. They show
how unhappy they are, or
or
start
how
yelling,
they are.
yelling at the boss. You're an idiot,
And I mean, on the other hand, I think it's also a reward to manage these difficulties, because when the wind is blowing in the sail in the back, everything is beautiful, everything is nice, and but when there's no wind in your tail, there's no the sea is flat. How you deal with that? How you sail? So this, you need different skills, of course, but I mean, this is also a good learning in. Also for the rest of the team, I think.
Also, in some ways, a gradual reduction is also quite hard, because, when you have a big reduction immediately, okay, and then people are left. But when you go like a death of 1,000 cuts type of thing, some people go, some more are going. And the people who are sitting there wondering, am I going to be next? I mean, these 3 people went last week or last month, and am I going to be going next month? I mean, that was also very destabilizing. So how did you keep them together?
Well, trying to explain how it was the situation. All the team was aware what it was happening. So it was nothing new, and we made all the efforts to keep people on board.
Yeah.
Up to a certain limit that they understood. So finally we managed, and we are still coping with that.
Well, I'm sure you are, and that's a good point too. I mean, after you've reduced one part of the business by 60% and you're increasing the other part by 30-40%, okay, there's 2 things going on at the same time.
But Greg, but still we're looking for people to work.
You want more people, right?
Yes,
you want to grow more, right?
And it's really difficult to find good technicians, good electricians, engineers in high level. So it is really, really hard.
And I think it's particularly hard when you're a foreign company, because if they're Japanese, they might think, well, foreign companies have a nasty habit of closing everything down and giving up and going home, and they're all out of a job, out of a career. Whereas Japanese companies, this is home. I mean, they fail too, but the sort of idea is that somehow it's more stable, more safe, more reliable, more predictable. So you're competing with Japanese companies for those electricians, those technicians in that industry too, I guess. So that's you have to have something more attractive. And I don't think electricians are particularly internationally minded. I don't think technicians are particularly.
Most of them, they refrain to work in an international company because it's this language barrier. Also, there's a few percentage of them that they like. They like international atmosphere, and so they come and it's proactive people that we're happy to.
So how do you go about convincing people to join? Like, for example, years and years ago, I used to get like resumes like this to sort through and find the really best ones and hire them. Today, you don't get any resumes, hardly at all. You're lucky to get a resume. You think, oh, God, I got a resume, fantastic, but very few choices, right? You don't like this one, there's nothing behind it. So how do you encourage people to apply? How do you get them to even know about the company, to apply, to be brave enough to apply to a foreign company? How does that work?
Again, this is a really difficult part. We have a strong human resources department that is working hard to find by different channels the persons to work. And also what we have realized is that in Tokyo there's not so big problem. It's one of the largest cities in the world, right? However, we work when we need people is in the prefectures. Some of them, they are losing population like 2-3% every single year. That means 20 to 30% less in 10 years.
And the people who are left are older, retired people who can't leave.
Yes, and those that they come to Tokyo or Osaka is young people they are with good skills, and then say, well, here I don't have any chances, why not to go to the big cities where is plenty of them. And then we have these difficulties, especially in the small prefectures. Still looking for people there and addressing many offers and giving, well, if we can give them long period contracts, they appreciate that we have to deal with what we have inside the company. Well, at the end, we are finding we are finding yes, and also what we have seen is that many other companies of my sector, they are not working anymore. So then. Oh, really? Then there's some.
The team is left.
Some part of the
work,
yes.
If you want to be successful as a leader, do the Leadership Training for Managers course. All companies need people who can both manage and lead. Leading people screams out for real skills in communication, dealing with all different types of people, being excellent at innovation, planning, delegation, handling mistakes, doing performance reviews really well, and inspiring and motivating the team. Do the Leadership Training for Managers course now in either Japanese or English. Are you doing business with Japan? Do you really know how things work? Japan Business Mastery provides the answers. Do you have the right networks and know how to create them? Do you know how to get on the same wavelength with Japanese buyers? Do you know what being trustworthy looks like from the Japanese perspective? Japan Business Mastery is based on more than 30 years' experience in Japan and will become your go-to guide. Want to succeed in Japan? Buy Japan Business Mastery now. That's interesting. So in terms of, the team you have now, you're adding new people. in the prefectures, so they probably don't work together much with the rest of the team. They're probably isolated to some big extent. You've got the survivors in the office, the 40% who are left. Okay. How do you get the whole team to work together well? You know, how do you get people to cooperate well, to be, engaged, working hard, drive the company forward, drive the business forward? What things have you found works well in Japan to do that?
Daily communication. Daily communication through the key persons. We are always with team, emails, phone calls. Part of our team is a key part. They are interpreters we really need to, for many things, and that also gives comfort for the non-English
So if you're having an online meeting, you'd have interpreters there.
Yes.
So you would speak, and then they interpret what you say, and then they would speak, and you would get interpreted what they talked about. So all the communication is there.
Yes.
Okay. And I think that works pretty smoothly.
Yes.
Yeah, actually,
And all the team appreciates that.
Yeah. And do you have any other things apart from, like, when you talk about daily communication, do you have like a daily meeting of the whole team or anything like that?
In the plants, they have daily meetings.
Okay.
Daily meetings, especially when there's new activities and so on. We have one monthly meeting for health and safety, which is a long meeting. And we talk a lot about what had happened or what is going to happen. So that makes, I think, my impression is that the team feels that they are somehow protected on this. Also in Japan, this is very important. You can't refrain to so this and it should be in all of the world. But it is policy from our headquarters as well that the moment that I came in the company, I felt very not to relax. I think it's not, but it is a satisfaction to see how people get these matters seriously.
Oh, I'm sure. They take safety very seriously. And in terms of getting new ideas from people, creative ideas from people, like, make money, save money, speed things up, slow things down, different ways of approaching things. Have you found anything that works well for you to get your team to come to you with ideas, to generate ideas from their side, as opposed to you saying, we should do this and we could do that and I've got this idea, and you're generating all the ideas and they're working out how to execute on the other side, getting ideas from their side?
I like to give autonomy, and autonomy means responsibility. Then I don't know exactly which are the specific problems in a plant. Okay, I have 20 years experience in this, so when they explain me, I understand. But I let, especially you see there's different kind of persons, right? But some of them, they are very proactive. They are giving you schemes how to resolve this matter and how to explain to the client in order that give them comfort. And this is so is valuable. This is something that we really appreciate in the team.
Do you have any sort of formal brainstorming methodology you use? Any techniques you found work very well?
Not really.
Not really.
Not really.
We got some very good ones, by the way. I should
tell
you about those later.
Okay, good. Good
really
to
good
know.
Ones.
Good to know.
Yeah, in fact, this afternoon, next door in our main training room, we're doing a whole session on that for a different organisation. So, in terms of one of the things is trust. How to get trust from people, because when again, as you say, you came in, you had to change the personnel around, and companies got to improve their confidence in the company to stay, to be retained. Building the trust is a very, very key area. So is there anything that you've found so far in Japan that works well to build trust with the team?
Well, creating growth trust is difficult but fundamental, right? And how you do it is always difficult, but for me, again, the most important is consistency. Every single day, of course, you have to react strongly in certain moments, but not overreact. Overreaction can be also people get afraid here.
So you mean, for example, if something goes wrong, or someone makes a big mistake, you start getting very angry and scolding and yelling at people. That's what you're talking about when you say overreact. Is that what you mean?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
So in that case, how do you handle mistakes? Because as you said before, this is a very conservative culture. No mistake, no defect, no error culture. It's health and safety, of course, in the factories. So it's very, very critical. People's lives, bodies can be damaged, right? So take that very seriously. But how do you approach when people make mistakes? How do you think about that?
Well, first of all, listen carefully. Listen. Let explain what has happening. Letting their say to each one, and also collecting reports for many or the people that were involved. So this is you have to be rational on that, not being emotional, because if emotions are good for different topics.
Aren't you from that Latin part of Europe, the sort of Greeks, Italians, and the Spanish are
That's why I'm here.
Famous for their hot temper and very emotional compared to those Scandinavians or something like that?
Yeah,
that's a stereotype anyway.
Yeah, of course it's a stereotype, but I'm feeling much better at work being rational and listening carefully. For me, there's one topic regarding leadership. For me, the good leaders are those who really listen carefully and make the right questions. This is the kind of person that say, okay, why happened this? Give me the grounds, and the grounds should be consistent. So this kind of approach is what I think works well here in Japan. In another countries, perhaps, you look like not enough vehement, but here it's a positive thing, and I think clients, not only clients and a team, they really appreciate.
What about other things, to build trust? What other things have you found to build trust that works for you?
Well, trying to be innovative and adaptable. Because on one hand is we see here that is a conservative culture, especially for business. They want to make mistakes. Then if you have a good brand and come with solutions that they are not aware, or with technology, for instance, I put you an example. We have now a drone for make, which is in the market, but say that we have high tech there, and this helps to retain clients and the employees, the team. They want to handle somehow. They want to learn. They want to say, okay, they are investing in this expensive equipment in order to be here for last long term.
What's the drone do? I mean, this is a solar power, right? What's the drone do?
Makes it's high tech there. They have cameras with a high precision and thermographies. They make
so you can find which movies. Panels are not performing or not getting enough efficiency.
They have hot spots.
Okay. So a drone can cover that very quickly.
Yeah.
Whereas a person would take a long time.
Yes, we are talking about projects of 30, 40, 60 hectares. So if
I have to look at 60
manually,
hectares of panels, it's going to take a long time.
Yes.
So,
okay,
and I guess for the team that as you say, access to new technology or new solutions. That must give them a sense of pride too. Our company is quite leading company. You know, we don't have this in Japan. They brought this to Japan.
Yes,
cool.
It's a new idea. Then this, we, all of us, we get synergies, and then people feels that there's something else. There's add value there. It is positive also for their career.
Yeah. Also, I guess, you know, success breeds success. We say in English anyway, you know, that success makes success. So as the company, you know, you have some tough times and you have to sort of rearrange the staff, and then you become profitable, and then you can bring in the high tech and more tech, and people feel, okay, we're growing, we're building, we're going forward. You feel more confidence in what you're doing, I guess, and therefore more motivation.
We are resisting, we are adapting for the new circumstances of market. Market environments change. This is why we are here, right? Because the market is changing. Not always in the way that we would like, but then we have to be adaptable, but consistent in our principles.
I was reading an article in the Financial Times, the FT, the other day, and I didn't realise this, but part of the big problem for your industry is the connection to the grid. You know, that they have these really well-developed, you know, solar panel farms and, you know, wind power and wave power and all this sort of stuff. But actually to get it to the grid, to plug it into the grid, in Europe anyway,
in all the world, this is the key point.
In Japan, same problem.
Say that the construction itself, has its difficulties, but is achievable. And a very good point for the solar is replicable. It has a lot of scale economies that you can reply and make bigger and bigger. It's sort of mechano that you make bigger and bigger. And this is, some people say, well, this is bad because it's easy to copy. Well, not necessarily bad, because then it's easy to make a bigger scale. That was what we need. And then the point is how you inject all this electricity energy inside the grid.
Yeah.
There's no capacity enough for the peaks. And then should be accompany the growth of the power capacity with the grid connection. That's
a bit of a struggle, isn't it?
Yes.
And so coming back to leadership, we think about culture. You have, I guess, still quite a large number of non-Japanese in the company. I think you said like 10, 20, 30% or something like that now?
Something like this.
Something like that, right? So you've got a quite multinational workforce. So you've got that, you've got a sort of Maetel global culture. Then we're in Japan. So you've got Japanese culture. And then you've got other people who are not Japanese, like you or me. And we bring our culture to it. But you're the boss. So you set the culture for the operation in Japan. How do you do that? How do you set the culture in Japan for the operation?
Well, there's different approaches. One of these is make for all the staff, international and Japanese, to make trainees. Trainees for for safety or for handling machines or for handling drones, and because this in a continuous scheme, because it's not only valid to make one trainee in 3 years and forget the whole thing. No, you have to do it quarterly or well, when it's possible to do it. So this for us is take what it is common in the both cultures and bring it and explain very well the differences and the analogies, because we have analogies and of course differences, but if we are capable to explain it well, that works. That is working out.
And in terms of when you've got foreigners, you've got Japanese, the decision-making systems are quite different. The value systems can be quite different too. Expectations can be quite different. All of these things are wrapped up in the culture you create. So, how do you get this mix of people to sort of come together, have one purpose, one direction, one strategy, one commitment, one drive to make the whole thing work. How do you get that to happen?
Being very honest, Greg, I didn't find too much problem on this because here the hierarchy is very clear.
Yeah.
The boss is the boss, the manager is the manager, and the others, we can have differences and can explain and so on, but then there's less friction.
So is this, what you're saying then is that you're using more of a top-down directive model to get people to align. Is that the idea? Because there are different ways. You can have a bottom-up, you can have a top-down, you can have, collegiate, many different ways of doing this.
This is the kind of things that is not necessary to explain because people assume and then it's out of the question.
Right.
So then, or perhaps I found when it was already there. So then, no, but in the other companies that I've been as well, it's the same level of hierarchies. Here, there's no. Okay, it's multidisciplinary team. I mean, there's you have electrical engineers, you have architect, you have also construction, civil construction, which is I can tell you that it's really difficult here in Japan because there's Japan rains a lot, much more than in Scotland or much, and for instance, rains. 20-30% more than in Scotland, but rather than in 200 days, in 100 days.
Yeah.
So then, for civil is really a mess, meaning that there's a lot to do, especially for the.
I think there was. I don't know if it's still the case, but I haven't observed it lately. But what surprised me, because I worked in construction in Australia when I was younger, and nobody ever worked in the rain. Nobody ever worked in the rain. If it was raining, you didn't work. But I noticed in Japan, I mean, it's still the case, there'd be raining and there'd be guys out on the construction site, they're still working, out in the rain. I was amazed, because it's health and safety, right? It's a whole big thing in Australia too. But anyway, I don't know if that's still the case, but are they still working in the rain here or are they stopping?
If it's soft rain, they carry on working.
They stop.
But if it's...
they continue?
Yes.
Really?
If it's really soft rain. When it starts raining, that happens many times here because here the rain, especially now we have rainy season. So
typhoons too,
typhoons and so on. So then people stop for safety. Yes, sure. So,
okay.
There's many interesting points in this construction. There's activities, but always there's something new that we can also approach to the clients, because clients also are really demanding, which is okay.
So who would be a client for your company? Who, you provide the power source, you provide the solar panels and all that sort of stuff. Are the clients the big utilities, the big electric utilities, or other energy companies? Who's the end client?
Yes, it's called IPP, or the owners are for these big plants. They're very famous Japanese companies and also international ones that they receive the asset,
right,
and they sell the electricity to TEPCO or to the companies.
Okay, so you basically construct the solar farm, sell it to them, and then run it for them as a management organization.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But they get the asset and the production that is made every single day. They sell to the
big utilities.
The utilities, correct.
They used to have a very good scheme here years ago, which they stopped, unfortunately, which was to encourage individual homeowners to put solar panels on their roofs and then sell the electricity, spare electricity, back to the utility.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a pretty smart idea to encourage more solar power and have everyone with solar panels on your roof, and you can pay it back faster and cut your own power bill, and But then they cut that. They stopped that. I don't know why they stopped it, but there was a shame.
Because it's public money.
public money.
At the end, it's subsidies, it's taxpayers.
Right.
And these schemes has or make sense for a certain period of time. But in all the countries that has been feed-in tariff, I'm talking about Germany, Italy, France, Europe, or Spain as well, and in USA was different, it was PPA, but all of them, they cut a certain moment because
they all did the same thing.
Yes, because I mean, you can subsidize one industry for a certain time in order that they develop, but always subsidizing an industry. Well, this is another debate, but makes sense to reduce the premium, and the market itself will react.
Right.
That's how has happened again in Europe, has happened also in the USA, and in Australia, and well, in many places. And Japan now is in the valley, but I'm sure that I mean, here is this archipelago. There's an island. They here we don't have oil, don't have coal. What we have is a strong commitment with the government to get renewable. So for this, you need to construct not only solar. The point of solar is easier to build rather than other technologies.
If you're going to give some advice to someone, they're going to be sent to Japan to run an organization here. They don't know Japan. They don't speak Japanese. And they said, hey, I say, give me some advice. I want to be an effective leader in Japan. What advice would you give them?
Okay, first of all, learn Japanese culture.
Okay.
Learn about Japanese culture, and nice to have, learn some Japanese. That's really...
so learn Japanese culture.
Yes.
And learn, and if
possible, learn
the language.
Learn the language,
right,
even for the basics, because people here, appreciates that you can talk a bit. That opens many doors. That's and ISO, very successful persons because they had a decent Japanese level, so which is logical. I mean, at certain level, the meetings, Japanese clients, they want to have a Japanese interlocutor. So this is one. Second, put always in their shoes. Always in the shoes of your client or your Japanese interlocutor.
Take their viewpoint or understand their position.
Always. This is key. If you're always thinking, oh well, in Europe we do it that way. Okay, yes, we know that you come from Europe and you do differently. But listening, which is the way to do it, and then analyze what is the analogies, the differences, so then you can move forward. And that people appreciate that. And well, the third might be being focused on technology.
Focus on technology.
Yeah. Or how to do it wiser, faster, and smoother. This is something that I see that is really appreciated. Technicals here are, well, it's a paradise for the technical. Some technicals that they listen to me perhaps say, well, not so much, but no, I would say this is a good atmosphere. People appreciate all the innovations and these kind of solutions.
Anything else apart from those three?
What can I say? Branding is very important.
Branding.
Yes.
Why is branding important?
When you come here without a brand or without a good background, you don't create confidence in the first moment. I mean, it's really useful for create confidence from the very beginning, and then you have overcome this important matter. In sales, this is fundamental. If you don't create trust, you will never sell. That's a simple as simple as that. And then if you have a good branding or well-known, or you explain well, that's really helpful. I'm not telling that the small or medium companies, they can't come. Of course they can. They have to be very specific to this. If they have an innovative product, specialized, accurate, then also Japanese that would appreciate this, no doubt.
Some niche, strengthen the
exactly.
niche.
For
makes sense. And how about your definition of leadership?
There's many definitions of leadership and many styles, right? For me, the leader is the person who motivates and explains a goal clearly, and tries to identify this with the team. More with the persuasion, persuading and explaining, rather than imposing. If you impose, okay, perhaps you can have a solution for short time, but in the long term, you need consistency and explain. Well, this is the kind of leader that I would be happy to support. Would be happy to work with.
Okay, well, thank you. Safe. Very interesting to hear your experience, and I haven't actually spoken with anyone in your industry, so this is a first actually, and interesting. I mean, we could talk for hours about the industry, but the theme today is on leadership. But thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you very much, Greg. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you, and please join us again for our next episode of Japan's top business interviews.